Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Today, we're diving back into Abby and Libby's case. Today, we titled the live stream One Door Closes. You know the saying, when you close one door, another opens. Appears to be exactly what is happening with the Delphi case. I went to bed, I woke up this morning, and just could not stop thinking about it. And I'm not the only one, apparently. Let's take a look at a post by Ganote on her X account this morning. It might help if I share my screen. Good to see you, Blind Squirrel. Jill Moser, Christine, Charles, what up? So maybe we'll give some folks a chance to get in. So we'll hang tight for a moment. How's everybody doing this morning? Did you guys have a good Friday night and a good Saturday morning so far? Sorry about that. I was talking to my daughter. And I can't stay long. I have to go to my youngest daughter's play. So I think I have maybe an hour with you guys. What's going on, Tony N? Yep, life can be tough. It's been the usual. What's the usual? Laid back? Okay, so we got about 30 people in here now. We'll get going in maybe another minute or two. Melancholy? As long as it's not bad, I guess it's always good, right? If it's not bad, it's all good. Blind Squirrel says a little bit much Malbec. What is that, a red wine brand? Yeah, there's some information out here. I really don't know what to make of it. So we'll work through it together. And of course, the defense is going to spin it as if it points to Richard Allen not being guilty. We all know that that's not the case. Melancholy. It's a strange word, huh? J Ray, not me, just not finding out that your name is Patrick. I mean, I say it. Well, it's because you never catch the beginning of my live streams. Shame on you for that. You just come stumbling in like a hobo. Tony N says, I am really surprised that Richard Allen wasn't found posting about the case. Well, remember, he's a sex addict, right? They didn't find anything strange on his devices. So maybe he was posting. Just because we didn't find anything doesn't mean it's not happening. And from the very beginning of this case, the first video that I ever made on YouTube was titled Burner Phones. Now, why do you use a burner phone? So you can't be connected to anything that's going on that you're doing on the device. So if you're smart enough to not access your own internet connection, buy a phone with a prepaid internet connection, you're good to go. Or even just a phone that might tether. Be hard to trace it back to you. Welcome in, White Rabbit. Go ahead and hit you with a couple of those. That's funny, Blind. Julian says Frank posted that Richard Allen was moved to Pendleton. Absolutely. Yeah, you want me to pull that up for you? And I don't know what that means. I'm going to read an article. I'm going to read his post from Angela. And then hopefully we can make some sense of it all. We all know Keegan Klein is a lying piece of shit. Nobody's going to trust Richie Davis. But it doesn't mean that there's not some truth hidden in there somewhere, right? So, I mean, this just happened. They just moved him to Pendleton Correctional Facility. Why would they do that? What is going on? Use the same when I ran around as necessary evil. Yeah, work on that attendance, J. Ray. Rabbit says Ricky Boy needed to get on that stand and testify. It's the only way to negate a false confession. I agree. But I think there's a reason he didn't go up there. Because once he goes up there, they're going to ask him, what were you doing that day? Then he's going to have to say, oh, well, I started the day off with my mother. Okay, well, now we get to subpoena your mother. Unless she pleads the fifth or something. Joe Newman says he will have wished he never left the original prison. Pendleton's tough as fuck. Hey, James, how you doing? I'm not buying anything the defense is selling. They've lied to all of us so many times before, and all that shit they've shoveled have been lies. Exactly. They don't know what happened. You know, they weren't there. So we have to try to look at it through the eyes of like a Keegan Klein. Why is he saying what he's saying? Why is Richie Davis saying what he's saying? All we know is that they're providing information that only the killer would know. And we all know Richard Allen's involved. So that part of it we know is a lie. So we got to try to figure out the way Keegan Klein's mind is working. Is he trying to not get busted now? Is he trying to change everything? Because we know if you argue about the Keegan Klein, it's going to lead you back to Richard Allen eventually. That much I do know. And that's why the defense does not want to touch it. So I'm glad that they're taking this route. I want them to focus in on Keegan Klein because I know he's connected. So I would say TK, TK, maybe Ron Logan or Richard Allen. They're connected to Keegan Klein, and Keegan Klein is the one who's connected to the dark web. These guys may just be part of some kind of local group like Norfleet was. Oh, is that closer to his family? Where are they at? Napani? Pendleton and Newcastle are top prison facilities in state for mental health. Oh, okay, Jay. That makes sense. He definitely needs that kind of attention. Joe says he is a huge target in Pendleton. Violence happens frequently. Do you think they could get to him? You know, somebody that's in segregation? I know it does happen from time to time, but man, he definitely would be a trophy. Wasn't he just in reception since his sentencing? So this would just be moving to his assigned prison. I thought he was already assigned to Westville. That was his forever home. All right, be safe, Charles. She Warrior, what's up? So they did state early on that Westville was going to be his home. So I don't know why they're sending him to Pendleton right now after all of these weird filings. And also, Keegan Klein could just be lying about Ron Logan. You know, he's like, shit, I don't want to confess anymore. I don't want to confess. They went through the trial and they didn't have shit. He probably thought they had DNA and witnesses. He probably thought, just like us, that they were going to pull out all this information, you know, and blow everybody's mind. But they did exactly what they set out to do, was to develop this case around Richard Allen. They did a great job on that. But honestly, I think it was damage control. They didn't have any way to tie all these other actors into it. So the way that they approached Richard Allen was brilliant because they know they couldn't let him go. Like, we got you by the foot. These other characters, you know, if Ron Logan is involved, and I'm not here to say, oh, Ron Logan's a great man. If there's evidence that points that he had something to do with this murder, I don't have no sympathy for him. I don't know Ron Logan. I don't know any of these people. And if they had anything to do with the murder, and if they prove that these guys were all pedophiles online, I mean, do you really want to stick up for somebody like that? But we do got to be patient. We got to let the facts come out. But most importantly, how did they know about the box cutter? How? How did Ron Logan know about that? Most importantly, how did Richie Davis know about it? If he's lying about Ron Logan, how did he know about the box cutter? Because if you guys want to criticize the defense team for cherry picking, you can't be a hypocrite, guys. You can't say, oh, Richard Allen knew about the box cutter. That's something only the killer would know. And then when Richie Davis says it, you go, oh, no. That's different. It doesn't work that way. That's what the defense team is doing. We have to follow the facts, guys. We got to stay disciplined in that because we're seeking the truth. We're not seeking to thicken the walls of our echo chamber, right? We don't want, if anything, we need to be building a big door, a roofless chamber. There are no echoes in here. CJK says, not much difference in the miles I saw. Okay, so that takes that off the table, right? J-Ray, fucking millennials, man. Millennials, man. He went from reception Westville, now to Pendleton. Exactly. So Westville, early on, I read was going to be his forever home. So why Pendleton? Maybe is this just like a normal thing, or is this indicative of something? Jay says Pendleton can be violent, but it's pretty well maintained. Hey, Cindy. Good morning to you. How was your Valentine's Day? Hey, Cyber. What's going on with you? I like that name, Cyber Warrior. Yeah, what do you think that means, She Warrior? So after the defense team filed all of this information, he was transferred. I mean, does that mean anything? Roxy says he got scared. That's why they sent him to Pendleton. What do you mean, Roxy? Is that just your opinion, or are you trying to point us in the right direction? Rabbit says Klein has to be connected. Absolutely. Law enforcement just can't find the link, so they're claiming there isn't one. Well, they have to be very careful about what they say, because first of all, they have to have evidence to back it up, and secondly, they don't want the defense to twist it against them, right? To somehow spin it, which is what they're very good at. But I'm just glad that the defense team is talking about Keegan Klein. I don't care if he says that Richard Allen isn't involved. We know that he is. The prosecution already proved that. The question is why? Why Delphi? Why the Monon High Bridge? Why were the girls found on Ron Logan's property? Why is Keegan Klein confessing? Why is he saying what he's saying? Whether it's true or false, he has some kind of a strategy. Remember, these psychotic killers, they think they're very intelligent. They think by meddling in the investigation, they can kind of steer the narrative. I ignore all of that, and I'm trying to find the bits and pieces of truth that are hidden in there. One thing that Keegan Klein didn't do was say that he had nothing to do with the crime. He's still confessing. Till this day. I mean, this happened, what was it, like a month ago? I think January 12th? Or was it February 12th? I'm not sure. It's extremely recent. James Cope says Richie Davis, we know, is a liar, failed polygraph, and has a history trying to give testimony to get favors. Yep, that's true. So he could be the one just completely lying about everything. It could be him watching the news, gathering news pieces here and there. Maybe somebody has a cell phone in there, or somebody's writing to him and talking to him. Maybe when he makes phone calls, they're telling him about the case, what's going on with Ron Logan, Keegan Klein. So then he starts to put together his own little story. Yeah, inmates do that all the time. They're constantly looking for new angles. And even if he's not trying to accomplish something, just going to an interview is probably refreshing for him. That rigmarole, just a change in his day-to-day routine. Oh, I get to leave here, get to go sit with these investigators. They'll give me cigarettes and Pepsi. Or I think you guys call it in the Midwest pop. We call it soda. Some people call it soda pop. So he's definitely motivated to lie. But that doesn't mean that he is lying, right? Blind Squirrel says, it's my opinion, KK found Richard Allen in a Russian Lolita forum. I think they know each other personally. I think that if Ron Logan was involved in anything with Keegan Klein, they were doing it in a very clever way. with a burner phone. And I think that Richard Allen, when his brother-in-law died and he had to start traveling to Peru, he reconnected with the Kleins and they dragged him into this. But he was more than willing. And he may have even taken it a step further. And if there's promises of money, remember Ron Logan, he left at 2:09 from his property. It was 4 minutes after that the girls were being abducted. So he's establishing his alibi, Keegan Klein, and and all this is all allegedly. And the Kleins are establishing their alibi with the cell phone data. So let's go ahead and have Google track me. All I need you guys to do is stay on my phone, walk around the house, use it to search the internet, do whatever you normally do, but just do it on my phone. And apparently somebody was searching for porn. And that was Keegan Klein's alibi. That's not a fucking alibi. But to law enforcement, that's all they got. They know that if they sit in a courtroom and go up against a defense attorney, he's going to say, well, my client has an alibi. Look, it's right here. So why didn't Richard Allen have an alibi? I think he was planning on it. I think that his actual phone, I think he may have been trying to do something very similar. Maybe that's why he went and met up with his mother. CJK says, Richie said Logan said it. Need proof that Logan said it. Absolutely. We didn't hear Ron Logan say it. We don't have a video of him saying it. We just have this known liar, this convict who's extremely motivated to tell lies, saying it. But that's not what stands out to me. The part that stands out to me, that in his lie, he said box cutter. So either he knows the killers, because we know it couldn't have been him, right? I believe he was locked up at the time. Did he know Keegan Klein before this? Did he know Richard Allen before this? Does he know somebody that knows Keegan Klein or Richard Allen? How did he know about the box cutters or the box cutter? Good morning, Stephanie. Anna, nobody thought of box cutter until weapons expert Core had a eureka moment after hearing Richard Allen's confessions. That's just not true, Anna. Richie Davis in 2006, in an interview, or in 2017, in an interview, stated that Ron Logan confessed and he said that he used a box cutter. This was before we knew about Keegan Klein. This is before we knew about Richard Allen. And this is way before anybody talked about a box cutter. So I'm not saying Ron Logan told him about a box cutter, but Richie Davis definitely knew about the box cutters. Is that just a lucky guess? I don't think so. Because if it's a lucky guess, that means that Richard Allen made a lucky guess. And I ain't buying that. Stephanie says Pendleton is worse. Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. That's what Joe Newman was saying. He's like, good luck there. I don't know much about Indiana's prisons, so I couldn't tell you. I don't really know much about Phoenix prisons. Jay, you are asking questions I've heard his defense attorney ask. I haven't heard his defense attorney ask any of those questions. I just see them spinning everything. They're cherry picking. We're not going to do that. At least I'm not going. You guys can do whatever you want. Was there any info on Reddit back then on box cutters? Shit. Not that I've never heard that before. I've never once heard the term box cutter until Richard Allen's confession. Now, come to find out, Richie Davis said it back early after the crimes took place. How did he know that? And maybe he's trying to protect somebody. Hey, Turquoise Sleuth, did they find anything in the river search? Well, yeah, they found a lot of shit, but nothing that they could tie to the Delphi murders. They found guns, cell phones. They found all kinds of stuff. Anna says, isn't the Indiana Pendleton a mental facility? A major Oregon mental hospital was at Pendleton. Oh, thank you, She Warrior. Let's take a look here. Okay, the Pendleton facility currently offers maximum and minimum security housing for adult males over 22 years old. The maximum security portion is made up of 31 acres, surrounded by a concrete wall, has an average daily population of approximately 1,650 inmates. Pendleton Correctional Facility, formerly known as Indiana Reformatory, is a state prison located in Fall Creek Township, Madison County, near Pendleton, and about 25 miles northeast of Indianapolis. Thank you, She Warrior. Wow. Okay, because he took the guard so much shit and then blame all kinds of stuff on the guards, that's why he got scared and wanted moved. I thought that's why they put him there. Okay, I think we're safe to get going here. And I can't stay long, so try to get through all this. So I woke up and I just could not stop thinking about it. I was like, man, what the hell is going on with this Delphi case? One door closes and another opens. Like, what the fuck? When is it going to end? It's because this is not over. And if Keegan Klein is involved, there's names out there that we don't know anything about. Somebody was on Keegan Klein's cell phone helping to create his alibi. And I guarantee that person, if there was a video or photographs taken of the girls, which I think could be the motivation specifically for that product, they would have had eyes on it. That's criminal. Who are those people? Who's the creepy man at 9 a.m. doing recon on the private drive? Who's that man? Yesterday morning, I woke up to it pouring rain in my living room. What the hell? How'd that happen? I had to get up there and poke some holes in my ceiling so that the water would pour out. Oh, so that it doesn't get too heavy? Oh, man, what a mess. Good luck with that. Robin B. Shout out to all of you watching from Indiana. I know this case is very important to you guys. Roxy says, I think the reason Richard Allen is not saying who is involved is because he's scared they will kill his family. Absolutely. And they may have made those threats. Also, if he gives up these folks, that means he's confessing. If he's confessing, his wife is going to leave him. She's not going to put up with that kind of scrutiny. So the denial is good for her. It's good for her and it's good for him. And we know about his mental health and his personality disorder and his strange connection and relationship with his wife. He's dependent on her. He's not going to give. That's all he has. Why should he give up these other people? He's not going to benefit from him. You know, Nick could have said, "Hey, we're going to give you 20 years." For Richard Allen, he probably thinks that's life. You know, there's no way he's going to live another 20 years in there. I think he has a bad heart, even. Yeah, Anna is. I don't think box cutter was ever mentioned until Richard Allen's confessions. Had it been, we would have been discussing it. No, it was. That's what's going on right now. It wasn't made public. It wasn't made public, but this Richie Davis guy in 2017 came forward and said that Ron Logan told him that he used box cutters to kill the girls. We just never knew about it. James Cope says there's no proof Ron Logan, Richie Davis knew about the box cutter before it came out. Yes, there is. We did 2 live streams on it, guys. Remember, he failed his polygraph. In 2017, Richie Davis came forward and said that Ron Logan told him that he killed the girls and that he used a box cutter. They gave him a polygraph test and he failed it miserably. You can't have a 6 and he scored a -7. You can't have even, once you get a -7, you failed. He ended up with a -7. But the question is, it's not whether or not he was telling the truth or lying. How did he know about the box cutter in 2017? That's what this is all about, guys. It's about information that only the killer would know before it was ever made public. That's what this whole discussion is about. That is the fabric of what we're having. That's the fabric of the conversation. Oh, we have a super chat from Cindy. Thank you. As always, keep up the great work. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for your continued support of my channel. I appreciate it. Yeah, J Ray. And there's people who fail lie detector tests and they were telling the truth. You know, there's been husbands and wives who are accused of killing their loved ones and they fail the test the first time. And then they tell them, well, we believe we know why you failed this test. We'll give you a couple days and then we'll retake it. They come back and take it and they pass it with flying colors. So there's really no such thing as a lie detector test. There's just a machine that reads your sweat glands and your fingers. It checks your heart rate. It checks your chest breathing, and it checks your stomach breathing. That's it. And those are the things that react when you're telling a lie. It's very similar to when you're watching a scary movie and all of a sudden you jump. You know, your heart starts to beat, your breathing increases, and your sweat glands go crazy in your fingertips. And your heart starts beating. Boop, 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 boop. It's the exact same thing. When you tell a lie, your memory kicks in and you go back there and you start to visualize it and your fingers sweat and your heart starts to beat a little bit faster. So when they wrap those things around you, that's what they're doing. They're wrapping it around your chest. That measures your chest breathing. And then they wrap one around your belly to measure your belly breathing. Because men and women, they breathe differently. Men are mostly stomach breathers. Women are chest breathers. Yeah, it is, Jay. Absolutely. Cyber warrior. I live in the South and I call it pop. Where you live in Texas? That sounds like some Texas shit. I'm gonna go get me some soda pop. In some places, they just call it Coke. Everything's Coke, even if it's not the brand of Coke. Soda pop, all the tings. Oh, here, Anna's given us some specifics. Between May and June of 2017, box cutter mentioned. So remember, that's information only the killer would know. Did Ron Logan say it? There's no proof of that. But how did Richie Davis know about it? How did he know that inside information that nobody else knew? Either he knows the killers or he's telling the truth about Ron Logan. One of those is true. And if we go and look back at what was going on with Ron Logan, we see all those witnesses that came forward to say he's a bad man, right? He left at 2:09. He was cleaning up his property that morning as if he was expecting a guest, and he was spending a large amount of money. It paints somewhat of a picture, but it could just be a coincidence, right? It was a nice day. Hey, it's a nice day today. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to clean some shit up. I've been waiting for a day like this. I've been waiting all winter for a decent day like today. Right? J-Ray, yep, soda. Him being transferred to Pendleton just means he's back to playing the mental health game. There you go, James. You think he's manipulating them over there, huh? That is his MO. That is his MO. Southwest. Represent. Welcome in. Nicely done. I was just watching your last live to see tour live right now. Yes. Hello, everyone. Yep. Welcome in. Scott, what's up? How's it going over there on your side of the planet? Hope you're taking care of yourself. Midwest area referred to. Pop. Let's go get some pop. What's up, Frank Meister? Welcome in. Rescue all the dogs. Good to see you. Yeah, he's definitely a trophy, Stephanie. All right. See, now you're talking. Are you talking about the Richie Davis? See, and that's the scenario I gave at the beginning of the live stream. Maybe people are talking to this Richie Davis and they're feeding him information. Like, hey, this is what's going on with the case. This is what happened during trial. These are the things that they talked about. And he's just kind of spinning it around because we know that he was locked up with Keegan Klein. That was the first thing that we talked about when Richie Davis's name was mentioned. When the defense team put him on that witness list, it's the first thing that stood out to me, that they were locked up at the same facility. And here we are. James says, yes, I was just watching something from the FBI the other day, and they said that inmates love to interview with authorities, gets them away from everything. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. If I was locked up in prison for years and years, maybe life, I'm going to do whatever I can to get an interview or to get transferred or to go on a field trip. So these guys are highly motivated to lie. And every time he lies, he gets all this attention and, he gets what he wants, basically. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't pay attention. You remember the boy who cried wolf? Eventually, everybody looked away, and then the wolf was there. Ate him and a bunch of the village children. I don't want that to happen. No one but Richie mentioned box cutter until 2024, and we sure never heard anything about it until last year. Yeah, I don't remember ever hearing about a box cutter. I remember they went around town. They went to the hardware store. They went to CVS. They were looking for a certain type of knife with like a hooked edge. But really, it was probably something with a serrated edge is what they were actually looking for. It's not up yet, Stephanie. I checked. That was going to be my thumbnail. So if you guys have it, send it to me, please. sleuthintuition@gmail.com. I want to see it. I want to see how he looks. It'll be up probably soon. CJK says it would have been brought up in trial if it were true and of importance. Yeah, I find it strange. It's like now that Rosie is nowhere near the case, like Baldwin's all over this Keegan Klein and this Ron Logan stuff. And I guarantee you it was Rosie who was like, we can't go that route. Let's stay away from Ron Logan and Keegan Klein. Now, remember, he's partners with Aki. Aki represented Ron Logan and Keegan Klein, which is that's suspicious to me right there as well. They got the same public defender. And the thing is, if Rosie took that approach, he would have to step away from the case. He wasn't going to do that. But now that he's not on the case, you have Baldwin pushing this ball forward. He's pushing this ball up the hill without Rosie. Rosie's out of the picture. Now I can go after Keegan Klein and I can go after Ron Logan, the people that his firm was representing. He has access to all of those files and all of that inside information. It would be a conflict of interest for him to proceed against his own clients. It just doesn't work that way. So if he wants to be part of this case and get all this free advertising and work the most high profile case of his career, he can't go after Keegan Klein or Ron Logan, because then guess what? He has to step away. He's not doing that. You think he gives a shit about Richard Allen? Nope. You think he gives a shit about justice? Nope. Don't hate the player, hate the game. CJK, yes. They bring you in, they weigh you, they take your photograph, they get your height, they document all that, and then they load it into the system. Anna says, Holman, for one, still refuses to discuss the Wabash River search. Do we hear a great flushing sound of $1 million of Indiana taxpayer contributions? Yeah, and do you think that they're going to do that on a whim? And the Wabash River search is a small part of the money that was spent trying to chase down this connection. And it's weird because they were going after Ron Logan. They went after Ron Logan. They went after Keegan Klein, and they just couldn't find anything. These guys covered their tracks, and they may have had help. For people who think Davis is telling the truth because he knew about the box cutter, they should realize that is proving Richard Allen's confession about a box cutter. Richard Allen is the killer. Are we questioning if there was two? Yeah, I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. The prosecution proved that Richard Allen is the bridge guy. That story's done. But if that's all we know, I'm not satisfied with that. Nobody's here to say Richard Allen didn't have anything to do with it. It's already been proven in court his role. Somebody in law enforcement may have leaked the box cutter theory to Richie Davis. I mean, he could have gotten lucky. You know, he could have talked to Ron Logan about the Delphi murders. He could have said, "Oh, hey, you're Ron Logan. You're the guy. They found those two girls on your property over there in Delphi. Yeah, what was it like? Oh, well, when I went down there and I looked at the crime scene, they were cut up pretty bad. Really? Yeah, their necks and looked like it was sliced with a razor blade or a box cutter or something. Maybe he gave his opinion after what he witnessed, and then Richie Davis just played off of that. September, J Ray. Curved blade. Yep, I remember that being mentioned early on. But apparently, one of the wounds is just it's not serrated, and then on the other victim's wounds, it is. But I think that could have happened by a damaged blade. But it kind of points at two separate killers too, and the way that the girls were left as well. What's that all about? And the killers were with the girls for over an hour and 45 minutes. That's not typical for somebody that's just doing an essay, you know. That's way too much time. This is I get the feelings of a controlled setting here. A lot of pre-planning, and the way that they planned it was so that they could have time. But what are they doing? What do they need the time for? John Usher says KK knew about the box cutter. Ron Logan is the false claim in this story, in my opinion. Why would KK know about a box cutter? Oh, I get what you're saying. He knew about the box cutter because he was part of one of the people who committed the murders, and he's lying about Ron Logan. Yes, I could see that for sure. But the question is, we should try to get inside of his mind and try to understand why he would tell this lie. Why would him and Richie tell this lie? Because, I mean, it is inside information. You can't go around saying Richard Allen has inside information and then say, oh, Richie Davis didn't have inside information. Because now you're just like the defense team. You're picking and choosing. You're making your own truth. Anna says Richie Davis mentioned box cutter in 2017, but no one outside the closed system ever heard that until 2024. Yep. And that is the fabric of today's conversation. How do we explain that? Was it just a lucky guess? Did Ron Logan? I think it's possible that they may have mentioned to Ron Logan, like, hey, do you have any box cutters? Or maybe during a conversation, once he was finally cleared or no longer considered a suspect after the search warrant, maybe there was a small conversation between him and law enforcement or a law enforcement official, and they just kind of let it slip. And then while Ron Logan was locked up with Richie, he's like, yeah, talking to him about the search warrant and things that were said, and maybe he let it slip. And then Richie Davis put the story together. Like, oh, I can use that to get an interview and get out of here for the day. Well, Richie Davis was locked up with Keegan Klein, but years after the murders. And he mentioned the box cutter, and he claimed that Ron Logan confessed to him early after the crimes. Remember, Ron Logan got locked up right away. Also, was it 100% confirmed that a box cutter was used? I thought it was only considered a possibility. Yeah, I mean, it's the leading, they believe it is a box cutter. And let me show you why. I created this illustration. I think it helps kind of clear it up.
Motion detected in the front yard.
Oh, the girls are back from horseback. I'm going to have to leave in about probably 15 minutes. So we'll get to this article and Angela Ganot's post on X. So the wounds were only about an inch deep, and the butt of the blade left bruising on the edges of the wound like this right here. So that means that whatever it was an extremely short blade. But also on one of the victims, it was serrated. So to me, the only thing that can leave that kind of a wound is a box cutter. You know, I used to work in a really big warehouse and we used box cutters constantly. And I always thought, man, this would be a deadly weapon. You know, after you get a really bad cut on your hand, you're like, oh shit, I just cut the shit out of my hand. You're like, damn, this could be deadly. And then I didn't realize it, but there are a lot of attacks with box cutters. We should do a live stream on that. But there are some true crime cases out there where people were murdered with the box cutter. But it's just not something, if you were going to make up a story, it's not something that you think of. It just doesn't seem that deadly. But when you're attacking small children and you know what you're trying to do is go specifically for that artery, this is a perfect tool. So you have Ron Logan, well, not Ron Logan because we don't know if he said it, but you have Richie Davis and Richard Allen talking about a box cutter. Very interesting. J Ray. Exactly. What's your real name? Let's see.
Motion detected in the front yard.
Hold on, guys. All right. I don't know. The judge is the one that said that the prosecution couldn't show the video of Richard Allen threatening guards and making a slicing motion like he was holding a box cutter and cutting somebody's neck. So it's not the judge. And there's rules to evidence. You can't just go around speculating like we do on this channel. You can't do that in court. You can't waste the court's time. You have a specific amount of time for a trial that's allotted. That's what you get. You can't fill it up with a bunch of Odinism with no nexus. Let me get a Coke. I'll take a Coke. Welcome in, Karen. Oh, Richard Allen will never get out. The prosecution, they did their job. They didn't do the job of telling the story or telling the families why it happened, but they did their job. they proved that Richard Allen is the bridge guy. But we know for a fact that they believe others are involved. They're not going to come out and say that now because they need to secure this conviction for Richard Allen. They've already proven he's involved. He can end everything. So if you guys are frustrated by all of this like I am, the one person that could resolve this is Richard Allen. Yeah, you should, Charles. So am I. Not expecting to find anything, but I'm hopeful, and I'm still looking. We've got a lot accomplished. Okay, let me read this real quick. This is from Angela Goodnote. Posted it this morning. New in the Delphi murder case, Richard Allen's attorney claims he has learned the prosecutor kept important exculpatory evidence from him, which is a lie. It's not exculpatory. Keegan Klein saying, "Oh, Richard Allen had nothing to do with it," is not exculpatory. I don't care what you say. And Richard Allen has been moved to Pendleton. So I don't know what that's all about. The timing is very strange, and it may have something to do with it. I'm not sure. Might be reading too much into it also. In the new filing, Richard Allen's defense claims they met again this week with inmate Richie Davis. Davis claims Keegan Klein, incarcerated, told him that he and Ron Logan, who died, murdered the girls and knew each other because they used to share CSAM on burner phones. See, that rings true to me, that part, But maybe it's not Ron Logan. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's Richard Allen, right? Davis claims Klein told him Allen was not involved in the murders. So I think maybe in this story, replace Ron Logan with Richard Allen. Maybe that's who he was sharing with, or both. To date, the prosecution has never provided any videotaped Richie Davis interviews to the defense, nor explained why it has not done so, nor stated no such videotape exists and have ignored the request. Why would they? It has nothing to do with Richard Allen. They weren't even looking to go proceed against Keegan Klein or Ron Logan. So why would they need to mention any of that? There's a lot of shit that they didn't mention during that trial, but it has nothing to do with their case. So it doesn't need to be in discovery. The approximate 8 letters Richie Davis claims he sent to McClelland in the months leading up to the October 2024 trial would contain multiple layers of exculpatory evidence. I don't agree with that. The defense could have used to further its investigation as to whether certain facts contained in those letters could have verified through crime scene photographs, digital data, and a variety of other means. And we all know why they didn't proceed towards that theory against Ron Logan and Keegan Klein, because that means that Rosie's got to go. He's not going anywhere. So they sacrificed Richard Allen, his defense, and what they could have done for him so that Rosie could stay on the case. That's unethical. Potentially. Allegedly. Defense counsel has never seen the Davis letters, nor known of their existence until after the trial, right? And you sure as hell didn't want to talk about it till after the trial. And this is all Baldwin. Like, Rosie's done. He's nowhere to be seen. Also, the prosecutor has never informed the defense counsel of the existence of any such letters. Richard Allen's attorney is asking the judge to intervene and make sure all documents, letters, interviews be preserved. In the past, the prosecutor has claimed that Davis' information was proven to be flawed. Prosecutor has not filed his rebuttal. So I have an article we're going to read. We'll hang out for a second, and then I got to go. Let's zoom in on this in case you guys want to read along. New Delphi motion request for Richie Davis interviews. Klein and Logan argued to be suspects by Cooper Hudson, and that was posted actually just before we went live, actually. In a new motion to preserve and produce specific evidence, Richard Allen's defense team calls for interviews and documents from inmate Richie Davis and alleged 3 people, none of which were Richard Allen, were involved in the murders. Allen has also been moved to Pendleton Correctional Facility, according to online records from the Indiana Department of Corrections. In November, Allen was found guilty of murdering 2 young girls, Abby Williams and Libby German, in February 2017. He received a 130 years prison sentence. Allen's defense team has since worked to appeal his sentencing, including a recent filing that requests Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McClelland be held in criminal contempt. So the guys who leaked the actual crime scene photos of Abby and Libby's naked body have the gall, the audacity to try to say that McClelland should be held in contempt for showing photographs of the phone. Yes, technically it is a crime scene photo, but come on, guys. That's the shit that really drives me crazy. On Wednesday, Richard Allen's attorney, Andrew Baldwin, met with the Newcastle Correctional Facility inmate named Richie Davis. According to court documents, Davis told Baldwin, not Rosie, that he met with Keegan Klein and Ron Logan, both former suspects, the latter of which owned the property where Abby and Libby's bodies were discovered. Davis alleged that Logan confessed to being involved with Abby and Libby's murders alongside 2 other people. This included providing details of the crime that only the actual killer would know. However, Logan never stated the identities of the 2 additional people. Davis said Keegan Klein had been placed near him around March 2024 and had asked if his name ever got brought up during Davis and Logan's conversations. This led Davis to believe that Klein, too, may have been involved in the murders. Davis claimed that Klein eventually told him information that corroborated details about the crime Logan gave him in the past. The motion argues some of Klein's details are the types of details that could only be known by someone involved in the killings. Davis then asked Klein if Richard Allen was the 3rd person alleged to be part of the murders. Klein reportedly responded that Allen was not involved. Then we know it's bullshit. It was already proven in a court of law, his role in this crime, and had nothing to do with the murders. According to Davis, Klein and Logan knew each other as they would share child porn between burner phones. Klein would assist Logan with these phones due to Logan having difficulty with electronics. He said the same thing about his father, remember? Shortly thereafter, Davis told attorney Baldwin he had sent as many as 8 letters to Nicholas McClelland. Davis was under the assumption that McClelland shared these letters with Allen's defense team, but this proved not to be the case. Yeah, well, their client isn't Ron Logan or Keegan Klein. It's Richard Allen. Hello. During Wednesday's meeting, Davis told Baldwin that when the 2 met on March 27th, 2024, Davis did not provide all the information he had on hand. Their initial meeting involved Baldwin receiving very limited information, and Baldwin watching a filmed interview between Davis and law enforcement that took place years prior. Davis said that the reasons he did not give much information was because he did not have many details from Keegan Klein's alleged confessions and was not certain whether Allen was involved in the murders. Let me translate that. Davis didn't give him all the information because he wanted to, future interviews, future field trips, right? Baldwin requested that McClelland and Stacey Diener turn over Davis's recorded interview with the law enforcement in which Davis is alleged to have provided details on Ron Logan's confession. However, the motion states that the prosecution never provided any interview with Richie Davis, nor explained why it has not done so, nor stated so videotape exists and ignored the request. Well, first of all, Keegan Klein telling another scumbag that Richard Allen isn't involved. First of all, if he's not involved, how the fuck would he know? And why would anybody believe anything that any of those guys are saying? That's not exculpatory. The defense also said they have never seen Davis's letters to McClelland. They did not know they existed until Baldwin met with Davis on Wednesday, and prosecutor never told the defense counsel of their existence. So why would the prosecution even worry about Ron Logan or Keegan Klein? It has nothing to do with Richard Allen. Please help me understand what they're doing here. In additional emails to McClellan, Baldwin said he asked questions such as whether McClellan received the letters and whether they were turned over to the defense. The defense said McClellan had not answered the questions as of the motion's filing. As such, Allen's defense team requested the following from the prosecution and law enforcement agencies: to preserve any letters from Richie Davis in possession and to immediately turn them over to the defense, to preserve any video recordings of interviews with Richie Davis and turn them over to the defense, to preserve all records and communications in any form about Richie Davis. The defense believes that if they had received Davis's letters after the verdict, they could have incorporated them into their motion to correct an error. Want, want, want. Absolutely, Charles. He is not innocent. He's the bridge guy, therefore he's a murderer. And he admitted to being somebody that was using the box cutter. So if we have two victims that look, their circumstances are very different. You have one person who's dressed almost as if they were taken away somewhere momentarily. Like the girls may have been separated, maybe not even very far. And then it appears two different weapons were used. And we know it wasn't Ron Logan because he was gone at 2:09. But did he watch a video? Did he hear about what happened? Did they pay him money? I don't know about it. Yeah, his cellmate, I believe. Karen, no, he will not get a new trial. But I am very curious as to why all of a sudden Keegan Klein, he's trying to do what he does. He's trying to manipulate the narrative. I think he's starting to see that he might be facing charges. Or that now that the trial's over, realizing that they didn't have anything really on him, that all the information that they had only pointed to Richard Allen's role in all of this, because they took specific steps to ensure that they didn't leave those kind of breadcrumbs. And if they're all involved, I think Richard Allen, he wasn't savvy. He wasn't a savvy criminal. He didn't understand what they were talking about establishing an alibi, having somebody with the cell phone, things like that. I think he just dropped the ball. No, they have his results, John Usher. He failed it. It doesn't mean I don't know if it means he's lying. I don't know. People fail it all the time, but I don't believe anything that Richie says. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to look into it and try to figure it out, try to understand the motivation. Sometimes there's some truth to be found behind the lie. I don't know if any of you guys play poker, but that's what the game is all about. It's about bluffing. Yep, that is a fact. All right, guys, that's all my time. I got to go take a quick shower. I'm going to head to a play. Leave me a comment or shoot me an email and let me know what you guys think about this. We're going to discuss the fluorifiers a little bit later today. We're going to have an open discussion. But we will follow up on this. If you guys need to get a hold of me, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out. Replay crew, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Brown-eyed girl, good to see you. Take care, Cindy Lean, J. Ray Charles, John Usher, Cindy Mustang, CJK, and everybody else. If I missed you, I apologize. Take care.